time to finish something off. I think it's been drying long enough. April the 23rd, Shakespeare's birthday, 2019. Time to get some finish on this. Yes, hello, welcome back. A bit of sycamore that I bought from the much missed John Dempsey several years ago. A whole pallet load of it, in fact. And this is a piece that I rough turned. I'm quite pleased with the shape. Can't decide whether I'm going to colour it or not. I might colour the inside. Well, anyway, it would be a fitting tribute to John, who died last year, to actually get some of the wood I bought from him finished. So that's what I'm going to do with this week's project. Right. Let's see. If I go to the overhead view, you can see it's about 12 inches across. I've got a spigot on the inside. I made a huge recess on the outside, thinking I needed a very big foot. I think I need a reasonable size foot to keep it stable, but I probably don't need it quite as big as that. I think I'll see how true it is once I get it on the lathe. So I've got some C-jaws in my chuck here. I'm just going to put that spigot on and tighten up those jaws. Use all three of the pinions. Well, that seems to spin pretty truly. So I'm just going to take a light cut. I'll try to take a light cut, but there's quite a little bit of tear out there to take care of. I like the change of direction in the shape, and I'd like to keep that, but I might bring that foot back a little. It doesn't cover. So hummed and hard, I'm just going to do my wax outside. It's been sanded to 240, so time for some cut and polish. Just snugging up. Just putting some sanding sealer on because it's a bit thin in places, and when the colour goes on, yes, I'm going to colour it. I don't want it running through anywhere. Now I also want to put some cut and polish around the edge and the rim to give them a bit of protection from the colouring. I think I need a tiny bit more. Right, so here I am. I did decide to put colour in, and started off with my favourite of all, the Spirit Stains, Chestnut Spirit Stains Blue. Didn't have the camera turned on, but there we go. This is about 3 layers of blue, just dabbed on from a bit of paper towel. And where it's gone over itself, it creates some nice darker colours. Get some nice dark lines. You can just about see them, I think, where it's gone over itself. A nice hard edge that it's left there. Eek! Now, my intention is to be a bit sparing with the red. So just one drop of it, and then just in a few places. And of course it's not going to stay like this, but you know that. So that, obviously there's a nice bit of contrast there with that. Going more complementary now for the blues with a darker blue. Back to some more blue. Coming back with the red like I said I would. Going for a little bit more of the red. It's quite difficult seeing it with the shine that builds up. Back to some royal blue. Again, I want to leave some parts not covered by it. Back to our blue. So here we go, here's some black. So here I am back the next day, different camera setup, and more staining time. I'm going to start off again with the blue, just putting another coat on there. I want to see how it's going to react with the red. I'm not so pleased at the moment with the red. Might need to bring it back up a bit. but I might not. One of the things that's always interesting about the stain is that once it is properly dry, it is very flat. I can see already that I've got a bit more interest in this now that there's wet stain on it again. You can see a bit of a shine kicking in. I'm going to try to keep the patterns, the shape of it, all running in this direction. One of the things I've taken a dislike to with the red is that some of it's going this way, some of it's going that way. It just looks a little messy. Who am I to say that? That, I think, holds more interest for me. I like the bleeding of it at the edges. That's what I want. Whether it'll stay as it dries remains to be seen. I'm thinking of a line from Macbeth, "Be bloody, bold and resolute." Maybe I'm thinking that because of the red. And maybe I'm thinking that because some of you might be thinking, you're not being bold or resolute, you're being ridiculous. How very dare you? How very dare I assume that's what you might be thinking. That's getting more interesting. Definitely bolder. Definitely the royal blue is standing out more. I don't think black is the right thing to do, so I'm going to go back to just one more coat. My version of one more cut, isn't it? Just one more coat of colour, that's all. A bit more on. 2 swigs. Remember, I did protect the edge with some wax, and I've actually got, look, I've been a bit clumsy around the back there, got a few marks, but that will quickly and easily sand off because of the finish that we've got on there. Yeah, so that definitely, to me, looks much more interesting inside. Colours getting a bit burnt out by the reflection, but I think that shows it at its best. And what I was talking earlier about having it so that the colour blocks were sort of going in the same direction, all running parallel with each other, that has worked well. That's hidden some of the sort of mismatched directions of colours underneath. It's not just slapped on, you know. Ooh, please stay like that. Right, so that has had a good nearly an hour or so to dry. You can see a lot of the sheen has gone from it, although there's a bit more shine than when there were fewer layers of stain on there, and it has kept some of the dark lines in there, and I'm hoping that they will really pop once I get some lacquer on it. It is now up to 13.8 degrees centigrade in my workshop and humidity of 55%, and I hope that this won't be too soon to put the sealer on. Spin it round so I can do half at a time. And then to make sure I've got that end, one more run across there. Right, now leave that to dry. Show some patience, Stewie. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Right, so the next stage is some lacquer, and I'm going to use satin lacquer today. This one is nearly empty, so I've got a second one on standby. And we're now up to 15.3 degrees and 300 pounds of electricity used. Oh, I like the look of this one. Oh, it's painful waiting for it to dry though. So there's the first coat of lacquer just drying. I think, if I'm being very critical, look at that line of lights in the top. As it gets nearer the centre, there seems to be a noticeable little inner circle there, which would suggest I haven't got my curve completely running all the way through. So that will make this a reject then. It's had the third coat of lacquer put on now, only moments ago, so it's still quite wet, but you can really see a lovely shine even with this satin lacquer building up. And now I've got to really leave this to dry. One of the hazards of working in a dusty workshop is I've got a few, well, probably 2 I can see, reasonably large specks of dust in there, but that's a bit annoying. So leave this to dry thoroughly so I can cut it back, get it nice and smooth, and then do another maybe two coats over the top. But I'm really pleased with how that is looking. Well, it's been 3 weekends since I've been able to do any work on this, and I really like this one. I'm normally a little bit ambivalent about the things I've done, but I really think this is fab. It's had satin lacquer put on it, and I'm thinking of smoothing it out a little bit with burnishing cream, but I don't actually want it to build to too high a shine. Unfortunately, it's not as smooth to touch as it could be. A bit of dust in there, particularly around this area. I don't want to ruin it. This is a strange experience for me. So I don't normally like the stuff as much as I like this one. I'm going to use half a sheet of safety cloth. Fingers crossed. I'll turn the picture-in-picture off in case you see fear on my face. Go away, Pip. Go. Good. Okay, right. So burnishing cream. Although this is a satin lacquer, it can be brought to a very high sheen, which I'm humming and hawing about, but unless I do it, I won't know, will I? So let's just don't need very much, just two little tips of the bottle. And so the lacquer certainly has had a long time to dry. Right, bring up the speed, put the speed on, I'm just going to move. Not pressing hard, just working that out to the edge. Turn to a fresh bit of paper, working to the edge. You can probably see more of a shine coming on down the bottom at the edge of the paper there. Dry bit of paper. It's moved slightly. It's a bit thinner than I usually turn things in places. This reasonably clean. Going to bring the speed up, but I'm not putting much pressure on the paper at all. I'm not sure if this is going to destroy my love of this piece. That's quite a strong word, isn't it? It's really an example of just keeping going. There were times when I thought I'd probably put enough stain on. I don't need to put any more on. But I did. Now that has significantly raised the shine, and I'm hoping that the distortion is not going to affect the finish. You can hear it at the edge here, the intermittent sound. Moment of truth. Well, I think that's done a splendid job. Still a little bit of dust caught in places, but no, I'm very happy with that. Phew. Now I've got to hope that this stain hasn't been on here so long that I can't get rid of it from the rim. Use what wasn't used before. Look, that's coming off just with me rubbing it without putting much pressure on, no speed. I'm going to come all the way down to the foot. And then a bit of white nightweb, the final buffing off of that. Okay, so I'm not going to put the wax on camera. It's pretty much the same process you've just been watching. But I think, without doubt, this is one of my favourite pieces I have ever made. There are some things not perfect with it, like there always are. Doing something in a dusty workshop, you know, a few little spots where it's not as even as it could be. It's dangerously thin at the bottom, but I do like that shape. I like the rim coming back on itself, that little return, little slant in, bits of dust in there, and I just love the way that the stain has worked and the colour has worked. As you know, I normally don't colour the whole of the inside of a bowl because I like to have that what's it called, natural wood showing. But as a new technique, putting the sealer in first, which is something you wouldn't do if you were trying to get a wood to be a piece of colour, only for this decorative effect, and also because it's thin, I didn't want it bleeding through. It's not bled through anywhere. That is going to be something I'm going to enjoy looking at for the rest of my life as it sits on the table. I was thinking about giving it away. Nah. Until next time, thanks for watching. If you've hung on for the bit after the credits, thank you. There's a link below which you can click on to sign up to my mailing list. It'd be great if you felt you could do that. It's where you'll hear about things that I'm taking part in, both in person and online, before anyone else, with details of those events that are coming up. There are a few things coming up this year that I'm really excited to be part of. The first of those exciting things that are open to people to come along to virtually is the next Woodturners Retreat event, and I'll be doing some promotional work about that later in the next few days, couple of weeks, and I'll be emailing people on my mailing list with information about that and setting up I suppose a virtual visit, a Q&A, a tour of the workshop via Zoom for anyone interested. So if you want to find out about things that I'm going to be taking part in this year, and you don't mind giving me your email address, which will not be used in any other way than for me to contact you, and if you get fed up of me contacting you, just email me and say take me off your list, and I'll take you off my list. Then click the link below and go on to my fill in the form to get your name on my mailing list. Right, that's enough. I'm going to go indoors and cuddle my bowl. Cheers.